Yeah.
Speaking about the Broncos, you guys hired Nathaniel Hackett, former offensive coordinator of the Green Bay Packers, spent 8 years as an OC. George Patton brought him in. And my first thoughts on this move were that this is to get Aaron Rodgers, as simple as that. Do I think Nathaniel Hackett is the most qualified? I don't. I do think he only got the job because of his connection with Aaron Rodgers, and he can hopefully, at least the Broncos are crossing their fingers, that Aaron Rodgers follows suit and joins Nathaniel Hackett. I will say, he is not devoid of resume, though. In Jacksonville in 2017, he had a top 10 offense with Blake Bortles, Fournette, D.D. Westbrook, Allen Hurns. I mean, guys really Keelan Cole. Like, come on. Top 10 offense, the AFC Championship year that they went on. He was the OC. So at least he's proven himself as that. So I can't be totally down on him. But I tweeted that I tweeted this when it first came out. I mean, if you don't get Aaron Rodgers, he's going to get fired in like 3 years, maybe 2.
But I don't see how. Because we're going to have another bad quarterback for what? The 8th season in a row? And
that's why, because you guys won't win.
And because he only got hired to bring in Aaron, I believe.
He made Blake Bortles look good. He could somehow, some way make our quarterback, whoever it's going to be good. I believe that. Now, my only issue with what you said initially, and I'm glad you didn't say it now, because it really was interesting. Called us desperate. This was a desperate play.
That is desperate.
But we have 3 Super Bowls. There's some teams that have 0, but we're a desperate franchise?
2 in the 90s, I believe, right? Or 80, one in the 80s,
we won 97, 98.
Okay.
And we won one in 2016.
Okay.
Again, there are teams that have not won one in the history of football. Meanwhile, we have one in the 90s. We have one in the 2010s. I can promise you we're not desperate.
The Broncos,
Desperate's the wrong word to use.
The Broncos, as of recently, have been desperate.
You're itching for a quarterback.
And this is the thing. Desperate, right? Would you say bringing Case Keenum in was desperate?
Yes.
What did we give up?
I need to find that tweet.
A third?
Step back 3. Joe Flacco.
That's... Yo, that is a classic tweet that I wish I wasn't the butt of the joke of. Years ago.
Dude,
Bringing in Joe Flacco's desperate. It just seems as if we thought that we could just plug in a guy with our weapons that we had and we can make something happen. It was bad decision making by the head office. John Elway, who outside of bringing Peyton Manning in, which is the most obvious move in sports history, I guess outside of Tom Brady to the Bucs, right? Because he's the GOAT. He has been unable to do anything at the quarterback position for us. I'll tell you what, corners, linemen, O-line, weapons, wide receivers, running backs, he could do everything for you. Addressing the quarterback, dead last thing he can do. George Patton comes in, brings in Nathaniel Hackett, and I'm thrilled because you're 100% right. This is a play to get Aaron Rodgers, without a doubt. But to call it desperate is definitely not the word that I would use.
Let me ask you this then.
I found the tweet, and you replied to it.
Me?
Yeah, it's RotoPat on Twitter. He tweeted, Brock Osweiler, Trevor Siemian, Paxton Lynch, Case Keenum, heat check, step back 3, Joe Flacco. And you tweet at him 2 years later, fuck you.
How else am I supposed to respond to that? How else am I supposed to respond to that?
It's really one of the best. I'm retweeting it right now.
Oh my God. How else am I supposed to respond to that? He absolutely violated us.
Bro, oh my God.
It's like we have made terrible decisions at the quarterback position. And
that's desperate, though. That's literally
not,
desperate.
But that's not desperate.
You're bringing in the thing. Okay, let me ask you this then. The Broncos hire Nathaniel Hackett as a head coach. If it's already a certainty that, okay, you're going to get Hackett, Rodgers is not coming. Are you thrilled about the hire?
Yes. I wanted an offensive mind.
That's a lie.
No, you want
I wanted an offensive
Bieniemy?
mind. I would have loved
over
Eric
the
Bieniemy.
other guys.
But Eric Bieniemy is probably not going to get a head coaching job.
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
I
but
agree. I agree
Nathaniel
wholeheartedly.
Hackett got the job because of his connections with Aaron Rodgers. I don't think he is not more deserving than guys like Jim Caldwell,
think about-
Eric Bieniemy, these other dudes.
Listen, I'll say this. Aaron Rodgers is clearly the quarterback, which means your offense is going to go. Did they not run a great system over in Green Bay?
They did.
With one wide receiver and a running back who, well, the way that they were able to incorporate both. But it's interesting because Melvin Gordon tweeted out, man, I want to be back with the Broncos so me and Javonte could actually run things. Wouldn't it be relatively similar to Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon?
I don't think Hackett was the most qualified person for the job.
Outside of Bieniemy, who?
Hell, Pep Hamilton, I would have preferred over him.
Dable was my number one. I thought he was the best candidate
We probably didn't have a chance at Dable. I would rather bring in Nathaniel Hackett, who, one, has shown a history of success with a below-average quarterback,
Okay.
and two, gives us a possibility of who we were already in conversations with in trade talks this past offseason to now put us in a position to bring in a hungry Aaron Rodgers.
I only think it's a great move if you bring in Rodgers. If Rodgers does not come to Green Bay,
Well, then I get it, because who would our quarterback be?
Yeah.
I
Drew
get
Lock
it. But
again?
my prediction is that if Rodgers doesn't come to Green Bay, Hackett is going to be out of a head coaching job 3 years max.
That's the story of the NFL, though. If you don't have a quarterback, you're probably not going to last long as a head coach. You could go through every list of everyone who's got fired. How many of them have an elite quarterback? It was like Mike McCarthy.
And I get it.
And
I
Rodgers
get it.
also said he never wanted to see Hackett go.
Yeah.
Unless
Yeah.
He was coming with, yeah.
went as well.
He did say that. So maybe,
And I
dreams
know
come
this guy
true
is
for you.
crossing his fingers. Man,
Look, I
we
don't. Look,
What?
You
Let me hear it.
act like I'm.
No, when it comes to the Broncos, you're something else.
Look,
You're
I
something
have
else.
no hate for the Broncos at whatsoever.
I have a hard time believing
You
it.
act like I want them to not be good.
I do.
Just so
I
you're
believe
not
it.
happy.
I
No,
believe
no,
it.
no.
I believe it.
Look, I want you to be happy.
I do.
man.
I believe
so
you.
If,
I believe you.
if Rodgers goes, I'll be thrilled for you.
I might cry.
I'm just being honest about my assessment. It's not far-fetched to say the Broncos have been a desperate franchise for the past 5 to 6
To
seasons.
get a quarterback, yes.
Yes, to get the most
Can you not
important
say
position
desperate
in
franchise?
football.
Please don't say desperate franchise. You guys are desperate.
Why?
Because you haven't won a championship in almost 40 years.
It's
Why
almost
are we
60.
desperate?
It's 50.
Yeah, exactly. Facts.
Why are we desperate?
Because you haven't won.
What's the main reason for that? Why are we desperate?
I don't know. You tell me.
We never have had a franchise quarterback.
Okay, there's been bad quarterbacks that have won. Is Trent Dilfer a franchise guy?
The reason the Jets are
Is
desperate.
Jimmy Garoppolo a franchise guy?
The reason the Jets are
just
desperate
saying.
is because we're always getting a new quarterback and they always tend to fail again and again. That's why we're a desperate team. The Broncos, yes, you have been a desperate team because
Team
you
is
don't
the
have a
wrong word.
quarterback.
It's the wrong
That's what
word.
it is.
Again,
you don't have a quarterback.
The Lions are desperate.
Yeah,
the Jaguars are desperate. We, who have won a championship in at least the past 10 years, which a lot of franchises cannot say, are not desperate.
Your moves as of recently have been desperate.
What,
But
for
they
quarterbacks?
I
They're
would
all
agree they
quarterback
are low,
oriented.
like 5th round, 6th round
Exactly.
picks for Teddy
It's who
Bridgewater,
cares?
it's signing to Flacco. Like, it's all very.
Is that desperate to you, or is it okay? Let's try and get a cheap option that could potentially put us in a better
We
situation.
drafted Paxton Lynch.
And that was a horrible move.
It was round one.
Round one.
It was round one.
Pick 24 or 23, whatever it
One
was.
of the biggest busts of all time.
And we're going to talk about this later, but we took Paxton Lynch instead of bringing in Colin Kaepernick.
I think when you're looking at Hackett, because we could get into a whole bunch of different, hypotheticals here. But I think if you are a Broncos fan, and I watched some of the press conference, the first thing that stepped out to me, even if you don't get Rodgers, he seems like a very upbeat guy.
doubt.
Someone who's positive.
No doubt.
Someone who didn't seem like he was too cool to be up at the press conference. Like, he was excited to be a head coach for the first time, just like I'm sure almost every coach dreams about. And it's kind of different than what Vic Fangio did, where he was much more to himself, introverted.
And led them to top 10 defenses.
Yeah, but to no success, no great successes. They're the first team since the 90s to have a top 3 defense and not go to the playoffs. So I understand it, but that's why I also agreed you need to go the offensive route because you're not getting a better defensive coach than Vic Fangio. He's also connected to the West Coast system, which I think is going to fit well in with your skill players with Javonte, Melvin Gordon. You got some good receivers. His dad grew up around Bill Walsh, who was the inventor of this offense that damn near the entire league is running at this point. And I think one of his quotes really stood out to me. I forgot what the reporter asked him, but he said, I keep mentioning the players. And for me, that's what this game's about. Growing up in a locker room with my father and all these guys coaching, it's about the relationships. It's about watching those guys go out there and excel while showing something special and making Broncos country proud. I think that's the perfect way to summarize what you want to hear from a head coach, because you could have all the X's and O's like Vic Fangio did, and you could go 8-9 and not make the playoffs. We've talked about how Vic Fangio wasn't great at relating to players, and especially at the offensive side of the ball, someone that got the most out of his players. And I know you ran through different OCs, and maybe that's not his number one priority is the offense, but still, you need to be a leader of men and someone who other players and coaches could look up to. So overall, I think he seems like a good, upbeat guy. How he's going to translate to the NFL, it's going to depend largely on who their quarterback is. Because if it is Teddy Bridgewater, then it's probably not going to be great. But if you go out and do get an Aaron Rodgers, now Nathaniel Hackett looks like a home run higher.
I am not totally low on the hire. I'm standing firm in that if they don't get Rodgers, this was a miss. But I will say, the personnel is there.
Agreed.
Leonard Fournette, Javonte Williams to me are very similar.
Melvin Gordon.
You said Fournette.
You said Leonard Fournette accidentally.
No. I meant to say him.
No.
Because he was in Jacksonville. Yeah.
I understand.
Leonard Fournette and Javonte Williams are very similar runners.
Okay.
So I can understand that he can have success with Javonte for sure. The receivers, I'm not as high on them as you think they're like all-star cast, but they're manageable weapons. And the offensive line, Cushenberry, Bowles, Risner, Glasgow, they're good pass blockers. Run blockers, they suck. But pass blocking, they're pretty good.
Our run game was the best part of our offense. That's
because Javonte.
No, for sure.
Breaks tackles.
And Melvin Gordon had success too.
Yeah, but your run blocking, like in terms of PFF, the grader wise, they're all pretty bad.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So
I'm happy with it. I'm happy with that then.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then Javonte's that much of a difference maker. That just makes me even more thrilled.
I think you guys have as best bet right up there with the Packers. Me and Serge were talking in the Discord. I put you and the Packers at 40% of where he's going to be next year.
Rodgers?
Yeah, and I think like 10% other and like 10% retirement.
Bro, the fact that we're at like minus plus one something.
Yeah,
it was like that though last year.
For us?
During the draft, yeah.
Well, yeah, remember draft day, the report
drops. I know.
Yeah.
Shefty, man, this guy's been folding.
But you had to know that would have been a lot coming together real quick.
I would have done it in my eyes
What
closed.
does the Aaron Rodgers to Denver trade looks like? It has to feature 3 to 4 first-round picks.
I told you, I brought it up, and you guys kind of scoffed at it. Then it actually came to fruition. Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, they want to be packaged together. We would have to give up 3. You're saying we're not allowed to give up 4, but for two players, I'm pretty sure we'd be allowed to break that threshold.
I'm looking it up.
Okay. Now, regardless of that, Jerry Jeudy would have to be involved because they want a young wide receiver. That would hurt me because I talk very highly of him. However,
if I'm the Packers, I want Albert O or Noah Fant too.
I get it. I understand. Oh,
I'm taking everything if I'm the Packers.
I also think that Chubb would be included. Bradley
Chubb.
Yeah, and I don't want that because what I want in the best case, the best possible scenario for Rodgers coming to Denver is that we have no holes. You take away Bradley Chubb from us, we need a pass rusher. We have no pass rusher without Bradley Chubb. He's easily our best. We traded Von Miller. We would then trade Bradley Chubb. It would hurt. And I don't want any questions about this roster. I don't want any excuses for Rodgers. I want to come into a situation where everyone believes the Broncos have no holes. And right now, we have one hole, and that's the quarterback. You bring in Rodgers, you bring in Devontae Adams. So, again, you'd probably have to give up 3 to 4, if I'm allowed, first-round picks. We probably have to give up 2 second-rounders as well, and Jerry Jeudy and probably another player. But for me personally...
I can't find a straight answer, but I don't ever remember someone being traded for more than 2 firsts.
Tay and him.
Yeah,
I know.
I think the Broncos this past season had less holes than what they're about to have. I mean, Kareem Jackson's a free agent.
I think we'll bring him back.
Bryce Callahan's a free agent.
Probably not going to be able
Kyle
to bring
Fuller's
him
a free agent. So your starting corners right now, as of right now, is looking like Ronald Darby and Pat Surtain, which isn't
not the end of the world.
I mean, Ronald Darby's not that great of a corner. He's not
bad though by any means.
He's average. And now you got to hold that safety. I think Caden Stern's going to be okay, though. I like his game.
I do believe Kareem Jackson at this point in his career would contemplate staying with us an extra season.
If you can get
Correct.
You,
And
you guys
especially
are also expected to have the 7th most cap space.
Exactly.
You're going to bring
we
some of
have
these
money,
guys back.
no doubt. Callahan is going to have to go, unfortunately, and God bless everything he did for us. He's an amazing ball player. He's too young. He's too expensive at this point in his career.
If you bring in Tay and Rodgers, you don't have 7th most cap.
No, agreed. No, that's going to be all gone with basically just those 2 players. But you're bringing back basically the most important guys on defense. Surtain's going to be with us for years. Darby is a solid number 2. I'm not upset with that. Kareem Jackson, I do believe, will be back. We just locked up Justin Simmons. On the line, Shelby Harris is a great leader for us. Bradley Chubb, I'm optimistic we don't have to give him up. I'd rather give up the extra first-round pick. I'd rather give up an extra second-round pick if that means keeping Bradley Chubb. We're going to have to trade Judy, unfortunately. But other than that, the really only hole, I guess, in the grand scheme of things would be a linebacker. But Alexander Johnson's a solid ball player.
You'll give up a linebacker and a couple corners for Rodgers and Tay.
Oh, my God. My eyes closed.
Exactly.